Hey everyone, it's Jake at Jake's Metal Chat. Hope you're all well and welcome to episode 7 of my Metal Vaults, where I will be exploring and showing you my favorite albums within heavy metal, thrash metal, death metal, black metal, doom metal, sludge metal, folk metal, you name it, all of that excellent stuff. And I have another absolute classic for you here. My all-time favorite album from this band that formed in 1990 from West Yorkshire, a place called Halifax. And I've covered this band a lot, covered it on my last favorite death metal albums video, not the one just gone, but the one before that. And I played their demo not too long ago, only yesterday, which is an absolutely phenomenal demo. I posted it on Instagram and my Facebook page. If you're not following any of those, down below in the description, or click on my channel and you'll find the links there. This is coming from the year 1993, and that's where we are for this episode. And what an album this is. This is My Dying Bride with Turn Loose the Swans. And what an album this is. And for this album, well, back in the day, these guys were more on the death doom side of metal, but you can tell it was going more of a gothic route on this release. Let's open it up, shall we? Got a picture of the band there. We've got Aaron at the top there. We got Aaron, Andrew, Calvin, Rick, Aid, and Martin, and Xena, who did backing vocal her vocals on Black God, which is the last track on this album. And I listened to this whole thing on the way back, this whole album on the way back from London when I went to FilmFest in 2020, and this kept me awake throughout the journey because I was traveling back really early in the morning that day. And it's an album that you can just sit back and relax with too. And it's just a phenomenal album. This is a re-release, as it has some bonus tracks there. And I've mentioned before, Peaceville is one of my favorite record labels. Love the artwork here. Pretty much sums up the entire band. Of course, this doesn't come with a book, so I have to go to the cover art was by Aaron himself, the lead vocalist of the band, who actually did like my post on Instagram when I played the demo Towards the Sinister from 1991. Great demo. And also, Aaron, if you watch this, thank you very much for that like. For anyone not familiar with My Dying Bride, or if you are and you're not familiar with this album, because you probably listened to the latest stuff, but you're probably curious, what did they have earlier? This was one of them. And the song that I heard the first time from this album was Your River. And it has that nice somber guitar intro, that nice opener to the song. And then it goes straight in with the heavy guitar parts, the drums, bass, and the violin comes in there, and it just all goes really well together. And I'm going to get the list here. So we got Sear Me, I think that's how it's pronounced. They got that on the first album, but this has MCMXCIII. That's Roman numerals for... God. I'll have to look that up later, but if you know. Of course, Your River, The Songless Bird, There's the Snow in My Hand, The Crown as Sympathy, Turn Loose the Swans, and Black God. And all songs from start to finish, they're just... it's heavy, it's melodic, and that's what I like about My Dying Bride. And of course, let's turn around so you can get the logo. I've mentioned favorite logos before. This is one of my favorites. And Peaceville really did suit this band at the time. They're no longer on that label. They are now on Nuclear Blast, but this their first album, and I think all the other albums after this one was still Peaceville, and then that went on there to Nuclear Blast. But one of the many Peaceville releases that people need in their collection. Let's get a drink in. It's a timeless classic. That's what I'm going to say about this album and all the other things I've just said before that. Aaron's vocals are always so awesome, great, excellent, just very relaxing to hear. His cleans, you can just I find myself sometimes when I'm on my walks just losing myself listening to songs from this album or their previous albums, and albums right after this, like one previous album before this, their debut, and then all the other songs after that. I always find myself, it's not on this album, but The Cry of Mankind, which is from The Angel and the Dark River, because you can see after this, you can tell where they were going. Because it, like I said, it's got that gothic element. If you're into your gothic metal, you're going to like this. But I love my Death Doom, and I like a good mix of that. I love bands that use keyboards and violins and any instrument like that within this music. With bands like My Dying Bride, it works perfectly. And it works perfectly on this album. Because the member they got, Martin, excuse me, was not in the band from the very beginning. He was a guest musician on the first album and then became the sixth member of the band. He's no longer in the band. He left in 1998, but went on to play in other bands such as Cradle of Filth, Cryptal Darkness, almost said Crystal there. But he also has a band called Diesel, 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 which is, Diesel, just spelt differently, heavy metal, hard rock. And of course, he's done live stuff with Anathema, Solstice, and very many other bands as well. He's done a lot for himself. And all the other guys have done other stuff as well. Of course, Aaron's main band is obviously going to be this band, well, his only band. But he has done guest vocals on other stuff. And his vocals, you can put them on various different bands. One of the many bands he did guest vocals for was James Murphy's band Disincarnate on their only release, Dreams of the Carrion Kind, on track number 5, which was Monarch of the Sleeping Marches. And of course, his vocals work absolutely phenomenal on that. Godfrim, he did additional vocals on the new album. Of course, Hamish used to play guitar in My Dying Bride, not on this album, the albums after this. So this is pretty much a staple from what they were, from basically what they're doing now. The more gothic sounding side of metal. It's gothic doom, but I can still get a little bit of death metal now, especially when Aaron does his vocals. They're not the gutturals, they're not anything like that. It's more growling. And on this album, and of course later ones after this, you can get that sense of pain and anguish in his voice, and it works. Like I said, it works really well with the album. It works really well with the band those sorts of vocals, because obviously they're themes of despair, pain, romance, faithlessness, tragedy, things like that. And it's, you know, and it's brings out a lot of emotion within his vocals. You know, like I watched some footage of them when they played on the Peaceville tour with Anathema and At the Gates. He does clean vocals, and I'm trying to remember which song it is. And if I remember correctly, it is The Snow in My Hand, where you got the guitar, you got the violin, his vocals, and then it's all a bit more doomier there, and then it goes straight into the death metal parts with Aaron just absolutely going for it. All the guys, you know, Andrew and who I bumped into briefly at Damnation last year because they did play, and that was the first time I ever seen them. And of course, I know one of the current members not on this album, and that is no, what actually I know. Wait, Neil, that's it. That's the one I was trying to think of. Neil, who's in Valafar. That's it, Valafar. And really cool guy. And he fits the band really well. Pretty much every member they've had in the past has fit this band in one way, shape, or form. And of course, Martin doing all the violins, keyboards, right there. I like the band photos there. They're very abstract. And I forgot to show the lyrics. And you can see, like, with the lyrics, what the themes are. And then the CD as well. Love to get this on vinyl at some point. I believe Black City Records sell it, but I'll have to double check. But if you love that side of metal, the gothic sound with death doom, you're gonna like My Dying Bride, and you will like this album. If you're more into the slower, heavier stuff, the vocals with the mix of the growls and the cleans, if you like bands like this, you're most likely going to be fans of bands like Opeth, who do that same thing. And you like slower, heavier music like that, very just slow and in a way relaxing, but still heavy, that makes you bang your head and just, you know, start headbanging. Bands like Pantheist, esoteric, evoking, like slow doom, heavy doom, stuff like that. These guys have that mixture in there, and this album pretty much shows all that in just one album. The violins complement everything on this album. Everything complements each other, from like the violin, the keyboards, with the guitars, the bass, drums, vocals. And of course, when they do it live, they played songs there. They played, I think, one or two songs from this album. I know they played Your River from this album. They played mainly newer stuff, like from The Ghost of Orion and stuff before that. But I know they played Your River, and hearing that live was just fantastic. And there's a reason it's one of my favorite songs, with that opener with the guitars, and then it goes in and it slows right down again. Got Aaron's cleans, and then he does the growls, and then near the end with the cleans, gets the growls, cleans, growls, and it's just, you know, gives me goosebumps all the time. And, you know, love this band. I need to see him again, because I never got a chance to see him. Not in the last decade. I didn't get to see him. I didn't get to see him in the 2000s. I didn't see them in the 2010s. Just never had that chance. Wherever they were, I couldn't go. But luckily they were playing Damnation last year and I got to see him, and I want to see him again. And I hope, I was hoping they would do like a 30th anniversary of this album, because that would have been incredible to see live. Who knows, they might do it next year or do this. Do a 2-show thing where they do this in full and the Angel and the Dark Rivers at the same time. Who knows? But hearing this album live would just be like, you're just in another place, another world when you listen to this album and listen to My Dying Bride in general. These guys did an absolutely excellent job, writing the album, recording the album, getting it mixed and mastered. And the mastering was done by Noel Somerville, who is from London, and he's done so many other bands as well, like Ackercocker, Anathema, At the Gates, Axe Grinder, Banished, who I mentioned before, Boltfer, Carcass, Cathedral, Cradle of Filth, Electric Wizard, Entombed, Mortis Scold, Lawnmower Death, Napalm Death, Nocturnus, Vital Remains. The list goes on for the amount of bands he's engineered, like mastered certain albums. Mags is the engineer of the album, also from West Yorkshire. Done guest vocals for My Dying Bride on Sons of Darkness and Words of Light. Sons of Darkness, Words of Light. Music stuff for Anathema, Blasphemer. Who else? Cradle of Filth, forgetting it. A lot of the same bands will be here. December Moon, Funeral, Enchantment, their first album, Dance of the Marble Naked. Dance the Marble Naked, sorry. Morning Beloved, another great doom metal band that would have been influenced by these guys. Well, these guys formed 2 years after My Dying Bride. And yeah, a lot of the same bands these guys would have been involved with. And of course, there's going to be a lot of bands out there who are doom, death doom, gothic doom, funeral doom, that would have taken influence from either this album or the later albums. And it will show when you hear it. It's like, oh yeah, I definitely got a bit of this album from this band, or oh, I got a bit of the third album in this band, or so on and so forth. But if I was going to write some doom stuff myself, it would be based off of this album, definitely, as well as other death doom, doom metal, doom albums that I would, just write a song around him like that, and see where it goes from there. But definitely, this album has all that mixed in, that absolute. It's just, and I've said this before, and this definitely is in that list. It's a timeless masterpiece. It's an absolute classic. It's an album that everyone out there should know, or at least be aware of. If you weren't aware of it before, then you'll be aware of it now. Depending if you found it from another metal YouTuber, or even if you found it here for the first time, or you type My Dying Bride on YouTube or Spotify, wherever you listen to your music, and just found them like, that's a really solid album. And it is a solid album. And let's get that cover up again, because this is one for all of you metalheads out there who love your dark sounding metal, your death doom, your gothic doom, all of that awesome, amazing slow, heavy music. And once again, this is My Dying Bride. And Turn Loose the Swans. Absolutely phenomenal album. And that is it for another episode of My Metal Vault. And looking at my list here, I have another 2 to show you. Well, 3, because I just put down another one yesterday. And I'll get these recorded because obviously I'm going to be busy on the day these will be released. And of course, another favorite death metal albums, you know the drill. For anyone who wasn't familiar with this album, but are familiar with My Dying Bride and want to listen to the earlier stuff, definitely this album and their debut. And even earlier than that, their demo. Absolutely phenomenal band. And there's probably a lot of you out there who are like, if given the chance to support these guys at a show that they got on, I wouldn't turn that down, because these guys are absolutely phenomenal live. And you know, I love my fast, heavy, aggressive music, aggressive metal. You know, I love my thrash. I love my death metal. I love my grindcore. I love my old school, and that's the best kind, the old school hardcore. You know, gotta get that in there. But when it comes down to like the slower, heavier stuff, definitely stuff like My Dying Bride, Paradise Lost, Pantheist, Skepticism, esoteric, however you prefer to, however you say the name, Evoken, Mourning Beloved, Mournful Conjugation. This goes on with so many great doom bands, be it Funeral Doom, Death Doom, Doom Death, just classic doom like Candlemas, Saint Vitus. And I'll put them in this category as well, Black Sabbath, definitely, because especially the debut, their debut, just called Black Sabbath, absolutely phenomenal album, along with this. And I have so many more stuff like this, and a lot of thrash and death, heavy metal. I got so many more heavy albums, more awesome albums. That's the word I was looking for. More awesome albums to show you. And I'm glad that people are liking this series. So thank you very much for that. Don't forget to like this video, share it around. Feel free to leave a comment down below. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Press that notification bell to keep up to date with what I got going on. And if you do enjoy my content, then that's amazing. It's amazing that there are people out there that do, and it's fantastic. So thank you very much for that. Been Jake and Jake's Metal Chat. Keep that banner of metal held high, and I will see you all in the next one.